Hello and welcome to the news on African News 24 TV. I am Praise Adeleke. Let's take the headlines. Tinubu postpones trip over Kebbi Kwara attack. Nigerian troop on mission to rescue Kebbi schoolgirls ambushed by terrorists. Police seize PDP National Secretariat over leadership tussle. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday postponed his planned trip to South Africa and Angola following security concerns in Kebbi and Kwara states. The president had been scheduled to depart Abuja for the 20th G Summit in South Africa before proceeding to Luanda for the 7th EU Summit. President Tinubu, according to a statement by his Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, delayed his departure to receive further briefings on the abduction of the 24 schoolgirls in Kebbi and the recent bandit attack on worshippers at the Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku, Kwara State. The president also ordered the deployment of national security personnel to Eruku and the wider Ekiti local government area of Kwara State at the request of Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak. Ononuga stated that Tinubu is awaiting reports from Vice President Kashim Shettima, who visited Kebbi on his behalf, as well as from police and Department of State Services. The president also directed security agencies to intensify efforts to rescue the abducted schoolgirls and ensure their safe return. Also, an issue of insecurity, Vice President Kashim Shettima has left Abuja for Kebbi on the directive of President Bola Tinubu to meet with state authorities and families of schoolgirls abducted from Government Girls Secondary School in Maga. Shettima, while in Kebbi, will hold separate meetings with Governor Nasir Idris, traditional rulers, security chiefs, and parents of the victims. He is expected to deliver President Tinubu's message, assuring residents that the federal government is working to ensure the quick and safe release of abducted students and improve security in schools nationwide. On a sad note, several soldiers were injured after terrorist ambush troops deployed to rescue kidnapped girls in Kebbi State. The attack occurred less than 24 hours after the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, ordered an intensified round-the-clock operation to locate and free the abducted students of Government Girls Secondary School. Shaibu had directed commanders to act decisively on credible intelligence, stressing that the mission was both a professional duty and a matter of national urgency. He urged the troops to sustain day and night pressure on the bandits until all victims are safely reunited with their families. Also on the issue of insecurity, wives of Nigeria service chiefs gathered in Abuja to meet with First Lady Oluremi Tinubu amid rising security concerns in the country. The meeting followed the abduction of 25 students in Kebbi State and the killing of the vice principal, prompting calls for deeper support and commitment from families of security personnel. Senator Tinubu urged the women to play an active role in supporting, while highlighting the sacrifices and responsibilities involved in collective fight against insecurity. We have more in this report.
First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has urged renewed commitment in the fight against insecurity as she met with the wives of service chiefs in Abuja, expressing sorrow about the adoption of 25 students in Kebbi State and the killing of a vice principal. She called for a minute of silence and encouraged women to fully support their husbands as the nation confronts rising security challenges.
Just a sense of mixed feelings with what is going on in the nation right now, especially with the adoption of girls from government college from Kebbi, and then the passing of the vice principal.
The wife of the Inspector General of Police, Elizabeth Egbetokun, praised the First Lady leadership, noting that her guidance continues to inspire women across security agencies.
I wish to express our deep appreciation for the privilege of being received by you today. Your leadership, Your Excellency, continues to inspire women across Nigeria and we are grateful for the guidance and support we extend to families of the armed forces and security agencies.
In a separate ceremony, Senator Tinubu was decorated as a Grand Matron of the Road Safety Special Mission. She called for stronger interagency collaboration and wider use of technology to reduce road crashes, especially during the festive season.
I believe that our roads has to be pliable and good enough to avoid accidents. And I also believe that what are we doing with speed limits? Are people complying with that? Because we don't want to see accidents on our roads.
We commemorated the road traffic crash victims Remembrance Day, and we continue with activities throughout this week.
She emphasized that a collaborative approach combining family support, professional commitment, and technological innovation is essential to building a safer and more secure Nigeria for all citizens.
The Senate has also condemned the recent abduction of students in Kebbi State, warning that the incidents underscores the deepening vulnerability of schools across the country. Lawmakers said the attack reflects a broader breakdown in security measures meant to protect children, prompting renewed calls for urgent government actions and a significant boost in military manpower to confront rising threats. We have more in this report.
The Senate on Tuesday raised alarm over the worsening insecurity in schools following the recent abduction of students in Kebbi State, calling for an urgent expansion of Nigeria's armed forces to confront the escalating threat. The matter was brought before the chamber through a motion by Senator Abdullahi Yahaya of Kebbi North, who warned that the increasing attacks on schools had severely undermined public confidence.
This kind of terrorization of our students, our children, must stop.
Lawmakers who contributed to the debates expressed outrage over the recurring kidnappings, questioning why funds earmarked for school security continue to yield limited results.
We must emphasize the issues of religion and ethnicity while dealing with matters of insecurity. I believe that with a lot of money, funds, and resources going into our armed forces, we should be asking for better outcomes.
We have to ask the military. We give them the support they need. Let us ask them whether they can win this war. I believe that the security agencies should deploy technology. Even from far places, you can locate these children where they are.
Every year, our population is growing at 3%, and therefore our armed forces numbers should increase in addition to the deployment of appropriate tracking technology. Imagine if any one of us has a daughter now in captivity in Kebbi. Will you be sleeping?
The Senate must wade into this matter very effectively and very determined to make a difference.
Presiding over the session, Senate President Godswill Akpabio condemned the resurgence of school abductions, recalling the 2014 Chibok incident, and warned that Nigeria's security situation was once again drawing global attention. Akpabio stressed that the nation must act decisively to prevent a repeat of past tragedies.
Urge the armed forces across board, including individuals who may have information, to assist to do everything to bring those children back.
In the same vein, the House of Representatives have expressed grave alarm over a recent deadly spate of bandit attacks in Zamfara State, where over 130 lives are reported to have been lost in just 2 weeks. Kabiru Amadu, representing the Gusau Federal Constituency of Zamfara State, who moved the urgent motion in plenary, detailed how heavily armed criminal gangs riding motorcycles, 2 or 3 per bike, swept through rural communities without apparent resistance from security forces. According to Amadu, 17 people were killed and the agricultural produce looted. The motion highlighted the bandits' imposition of a crippling 100 million tax on the already terrorized rural population. In response to the motion, the House directed the Minister of Defense and all service chiefs to lead a major coordinated security operation to neutralize the bandits. Committees on defense, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, national security and legislative compliance have also been mandated to oversee strictly the implementation of the House's resolution. Away from that, the House of Representatives have warned top officials of key agricultural agencies to appear before its probe into the alleged misuse of 1.2 trillion naira in intervention funds or face arrest. We have more in this report. Threatening to issue arrest warrants for the head of Bank of Agriculture and Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria after they repeatedly failed to appear before a House probe into the alleged misuse of 1.2 trillion naira in agricultural intervention funds. The chairman of the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, Chike Okafor, said the agency's excuses were unacceptable and warned that they must appear at Wednesday's hearing or face parliamentary sanctions.
A series of letters and invitations sent out to the following: Bank of Agriculture, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, and the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA, to appear before the last two hearings of this committee were met with either no response or very flimsy excuses for non-attendance. This is totally unacceptable.
At the hearing, lawmakers also queried Prospect Microfinance Bank over conflicting figures in its record, while the National Agricultural Seed Council was cleared of any involvement in the program. Also from the Green Chamber, the House of Representatives has launched a fresh investigation into the widespread abandonment of federal government properties across the country, raising concerns over the growing loss of misuse of national assets. The probe aims to uncover the true condition, ownership status, and management history of these properties as lawmakers push for stronger accountability and improved recovery efforts. We have more in this report.
The House of Representatives has commenced an investigation into the status and management of abandoned federal government properties across the country, with lawmakers expressing concern over the loss of national assets due to neglect, mismanagement, and unclear ownership records. Speaking on behalf of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Usman Kumar, said a Presidential Implementation Committee was created in 2000 under former President Olusegun Obasanjo to check and verify federal properties. He noted that the committee was mandated to investigate the authenticity, status, and utilization of government-owned landed assets, as well as review earlier reports and make further recommendations.
There was a review by 2000 of Presidential Implementation Committee set up by the then Obasanjo government to review this particular subject matter. It is the responsibility of this committee, among other things, to investigate the authenticity and the status of these said landed properties across the country. It is further part of the responsibilities of this committee to review the Presidential Implementation Committee report and recommend further and better recommendations.
The Deputy Chairman of the Ad hoc Committee on Abandoned Federal Government Landed Properties in Nigeria, Oladebo Omoleye, promised that the House would carry out the investigation with diligence and transparency. He said the committee would work to protect public trust and ensure federal assets are accounted for.
The committee pledged to discharge this mandate with utmost diligence, transparency, and fidelity to the public trust, ensuring that every aspect of the responsibility entrusted to us is executed with precision and integrity. We further commit to delivering outcomes and reflect the highest standard of legislative oversight, timely, evidence-driven, and firmly anchored in national interest.
The probe is expected to cover properties across various states, with lawmakers aiming to establish a clearer record of federal holdings and prevent further deterioration or loss.
We will go on a short break now. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And now on politics. Police operatives on Wednesday sealed the People's Democratic Party National Secretariat WADA Plaza in Abuja following Tuesday's clash between two rival factions. The confrontation involved supporters of the factional PDP national chairman, the Kabiru Turaki-led group, and those loyal to the FCT minister, WIKE. An uproar erupted during the incident, with Oyo State Governor MAKINDE and his Bauchi State counterpart, Bala Mohammed, reportedly tear-gassed. By Wednesday morning, police officers had set barbed-wired barricades to prevent access to the premises. No factional leaders were sighted at the secretariat, though a few policemen remained on guard. In a related development, the Independent National Electoral Commission has rejected a correspondence signed by the acting chairman of the Samuel Anyanwu faction of the People's Democratic Party, saying it failed to meet the requirements of the law. Recall that Mohammed and Anyanwu had written to the commission seeking to postpone the Ekiti governorship primaries due to what they called logistical reasons. The letter dated November 6, 2025, titled Postponement of PDP Ekiti State Governorship Primary, said a new date will be communicated to the commission. Responding to the correspondent, INEC in a letter addressed the National Secretary of the party dated November 10, 2025, stated the request for new primary election was rejected. The INEC letter invalidates the position of Mohammed as acting national chairman of the party. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress has slammed the People's Democratic Party factional national chairman, Tanimu Turaki, for calling on foreign powers to intervene in Nigeria's politics. APC spokesperson Felix Monin says Turaki appeals amounts to inviting foreign invasion and threatens national security. The ruling party accuses him of escalating the PDP's internal crisis and urges the international community to ignore the call. Also reacting to the leadership crisis in PDP, the Social Democratic Party condemned Tuesday's crisis at the People's Democratic Party National Secretariat in Abuja, describing it as a dangerous act that undermines democracy. In a statement on Wednesday, the SDP National Chairman, Shehu Gaban, said attempts to suppress dissent erode public confidence and weaken the rule of law. Gaban criticized security agencies for allegedly harassing political opponents instead of protecting citizens, warning that such actions damage trust in national institutions. He also cautioned against using constitutional processes to silence opposition, recalling similar disruption previously faced by the SDP. Gaban appealed to President Tinubu to uphold democratic value and foster unity in the face of rising national tension. And on a sad note, the Senate has announced the death of the senator representing Enugu North Senatorial District, Okechukwu Eze. In a statement on Wednesday, Senate spokesperson Adeyemi Adaramotu said the lawmaker died at a private hospital in Lagos on Tuesday after a brief illness. Eze, elected in 2023, was an active voice in the 10th Senate. He previously chaired the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions and later served as Vice Chairman of the Committee on Housing and Urban Development in Africa and Creative Economy. The Senate extended condolences to his family, constituents, and the people of Enugu State, praying for his peaceful repose. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll take you through the foreign scene. Please stay with us. Stories. Russian missile and drone strikes have killed 19 people in the western Ukrainian city after an overnight barrage that devastated a residential tower block. The attack, which officials said involved more than 470 drones and 48 missiles, tore away the upper floors of the building, sending black smokes into the skies as flames burned through the haze. At least 66 people were wounded in the strikes, which targeted energy and transport infrastructure across Ukraine, triggering emergency power cuts in several regions amid freezing temperature. Authorities warned that more residents may be trapped under the rubble as rescue teams continued searching the destroyed building. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the multi-story residential structure that has been hit, condemning the assault as another example of Russia's brazen attack on civilians' life, insisting that effective sanction and increased support were essential to stop the nearly 4-year-old war. The United Kingdom has called for deeper regional security and political cooperation to confront the escalating threat of terrorism in West Africa and the Sahel. At a United Nations Security Council meeting on Tuesday, UK Charge Ambassador James raised concerns about the growing operations of Islamic State affiliates across the region and their increasing impact on civilian population.
Thank you. Welcome to the world of sports. Nigeria's Victor Osimhen will go head-to-head with Egypt's Mohamed Salah and Morocco's Achraf Hakimi for the 2025 CAF Men's Player of the Year award, as African football's governing body confirmed the final 3-man shortlist. Osimhen made the shortlist after scoring 37 goals and providing 6 assists for Galatasaray, helping them win the Turkish league and cup titles. Salah earned his place with 29 goals and 18 assists for Liverpool, while Hakimi impressed in PSG's Champions League and domestic treble-winning season. CAF said the nominees were selected based on performances from January 6th to October 15th, 2025, noting that the winners will be announced tonight in Rabat, Morocco. Nigeria will also be strongly represented in the women's categories, with Super Falcons star Rasheedat Ajibade making the final shortlist for Women's Player of the Year, while goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie looks to clinch a third straight Women's Goalkeeper of the Year honor. The Super Falcons are additionally in contention for the Women's National Team of the Year award. Meanwhile, Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen will miss tonight's CAF Award ceremony in Rabat, Morocco. The 2023 African Footballer of the Year has returned to Galatasaray for a scheduled MRI scan after sustaining a hamstring injury while on international duty for Nigeria. Osimhen's scan is expected to determine the severity of the injury he picked up during Sunday's 2025 World Cup African Playoff Final against DR Congo, where he was substituted at halftime as a precaution. Despite his absence, the 27-year-old Osimhen remains a strong contender who scored a crucial halftime brace in the semi-final against Gabon, pushing his national team tally to 31 goals. He returned to the awards podium 2 years after winning the title, before being succeeded by compatriot Ademola Lookman. Lastly, Enyimba International Football Club has taken a tough stand following a streak of disappointing results both in the Nigerian Premier Football League and on the continent. The club has announced a 50% pay cut-off for its players. The decision follows a poor run of form, including a shock home defeat to WIKE Tourists. Management, in a meeting with the squad, described the cut as a temporary measure, one that will remain in place until performances improve. Reacting to the development, Vice Captain Pascal Eze issued an apology to fans, assuring supporters that the team is committed to working harder and turning the season around. Enyimba says its focus now is on rebuilding momentum and restoring confidence on the pitch. And that will be all on sports. It's back to you for the rest of the bulletin.
Thank you, Christiana. Sorry for the break in transition. And with that, that will be the end of today's bulletin. Please don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms as displayed on your screen for subsequent bulletins and updates around the world. I am Praise at Delike. Bye for now.